of the essential things that we need to learn as guitar players is to know our fretboard. So our objective and challenge is to be able to name every note on our fretboard. Because when you think about it, if you are able to just look at a fret and know immediately, automatically, what that note is, that's going to improve your guitar playing. Think about it like this. If we are going somewhere for the first time and we don't know how to get there, well, we have to rely on a map, we have to rely on Google Maps, we have to get directions. But once we arrive there and we maybe take that same trip a couple of times, we become familiar with how to get there and it becomes second nature. And essentially that's what we're trying to achieve when we know the notes of our fretboard. Because if we're in the key of G, for example, if you look at your fretboard and you're able to just automatically pick out all of the G notes on the fretboard, it just makes it much easier for you to play. So if you're trying to improvise a piece in the key of G major, well, you know exactly where to start, and that can really open up the fretboard. If you haven't thought about this before, of knowing the notes on your fretboard, and now are maybe considering doing that, it can seem like a huge challenge. And it will be a huge challenge if you sit down and you just try and memorize notes just for the sake of memorizing notes. It will be boring. You'll not be very excited with that whole process, and you'll end up just abandoning it and we'll be back to square one. So a simple way to incorporate that within your guitar playing is whatever you're working on, just incorporate also identifying the notes that you're playing with the frets that you're playing. And most importantly, it's the visual cue. So when you look at a fret, when you look at the fret, that you're able to identify what that note is. So the way I suggest doing it is incorporating that within your practice. So this week I've been really working on listening to, exploring major scales, and in particular the C major scale. What I'm trying to do is develop my picking technique, but what I'm also doing is incorporating identifying the note with the fret. So you can see what I'm doing here by identifying the notes that I'm playing on the frets I'm playing. It's by stealth I'm learning and knowing my fretboard. And what I'm doing is incorporating that know your fretboard task with what I'm actually concentrating, the major scale and picking technique. So let me show you just exactly what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is playing a C major scale. I'm playing it in this position. In this practice session, I'm trying to work on my alternate picking. But in addition to that, what I'm doing is I'm also incorporating by stealth, know my fretboard. Because during this exercise, what I'm doing is I'm also identifying the notes of the fretboard. So what I'm playing is a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And by incorporating that into my practice, and in this particular instance on alternate picking on a major scale, I'm identifying those particular frets with those notes. So I've incorporated that within my practice. So it's not a case of, oh, I need to now work on knowing my fretboard. I'm doubling up on the work, alternate picking, major scales, plus also identifying the notes of that fretboard, really concentrating and trying to get those embedded in my mind, because when I look down on the fretboard now, I'll be able to identify what those notes are, and I'm successfully mapping out my fretboard. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if you incorporate that into everything you're doing, whether that's melodies, scales, lead guitar, or whether that's chords, just go through that process of identifying the notes that you're playing, identifying them with the frets that you're playing, and you can see by stealth you start to map out your fretboard and to really know your fretboard.